Have you ever been in the middle of an amazing and exhilarating workout when all of a sudden, CRAMP! Then once it goes away, you try to resume your workout and the freaking cramp comes back. Next thing you know, you spent 20 minutes dealing with a freaking cramp and you're more sore from the cramp than from the actual workout. If you've had that experience yourself, keep watching the rest of the video because we're about to explore the latest research on cramps and what to do if cramps are always crashing your workouts. When you engage in very strenuous physical activity, these cramps come during the activity or after the activity. In scientific literature, these cramps are called exercise-associated muscle cramps. It occurs when a skeletal muscle ceases in an involuntary painful contraction during or after exercise in a healthy individual with no underlying medical reasons. As an athlete, the older you are, your concern for cramps increases. The fear of having a cramp mid-workout session can be enough reason to hold back from actually pushing your ability to the limits. Let's look at some expert advice on how to reduce the possibility of getting cramps. We're going to start by debunking the myths. Myth number 1, eating a banana helps prevent muscle cramps. One popular myth is that eating potassium-rich bananas before your race can help prevent muscle cramps. Unfortunately, the notion is a big bananas. There is no evidence that eating potassium-rich foods before a race can prevent muscle cramps, especially if your baseline levels are already within normal range. Bananas are great for many nutritional reasons, but they will not help you to avoid cramping, said Dr. Marley Opasso. And this is why. Eating potassium-rich foods like bananas immediately before a race is unlikely to prevent muscle cramps. While you may find articles from reputable sources relating the two, these pieces are typically discussing medical conditions where cramps occur outside of exercise. Do electrolytes or temperature influence muscle cramps? In my personal experience, I have never felt that electrolytes or temperature has directly influenced cramps on my body. What I have experienced though is my performance being severely affected negatively when I haven't consumed enough electrolytes or when it's too hot outside. When it comes to warding off those painful calf cramps mid-race, there is no consensus. Even though electrolytes, minerals like potassium, calcium, and magnesium, as well as salt, have traditionally been thought to be related to EAMCs, there is no hard and fast rule. Studies have shown that athletes with cramps have similar electrolyte concentrations in their blood as those who don't experience cramps during competitions. According to research, there is no relation between cramps and electrolyte concentrations in the blood of the subjects. For some reason, that just feels really hard to believe. But when I think back to my previous experiences with cramps, it is only after bouts of really intense exercise, regardless of me being hydrated or not. I feel that cramps are a sign from your body telling you that you have worked that muscle way too much. Let's see what the research says. What is the extent of research on electrolytes and cramps? The two reviews looking at how electrolytes affect muscle cramps highlight a limited range of research, with only 6 unique studies mentioned. This small pool of research makes it hard to draw broad conclusions about the relationship between electrolytes and muscle cramps, as it may not fully capture the variety of conditions, populations, and potential variables involved. They are simply saying that there is not enough research. Another consideration is that low electrolyte levels are a systemic issue and unlikely the sole cause of muscle cramps in a specific region, such as the calf. That's not to say they don't play a role, but it is unlikely the only cause of muscle cramps for most individuals. Instead, muscle cramps could be the result of a confluence of intrinsic factors, for example, lack of conditioning and fatigue, and extrinsic factors such as temperature, which likely differ from person to person. And while the internet abounds with information about heat cramps, EAMCs can also occur in cold weather, A study from 1986 found that 18% of runners experienced cramps while participating in a marathon in cold weather where temperatures range from 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. Training tip. Muscle cramps may be the result of a confluence of several factors, which likely differ from person to person. I mean, I guess so, just like everything else. Every person is different. What about fatigue? I would think that fatigue has the greatest influence on frequency of cramps. But let's see what the research says. Recent research points to fatigue-induced alterations in nervous system excitability as a possible risk factor. In simpler terms, pushing your body beyond its usual limits. One study found that cramping during an ultramarathon was linked to a faster running pace early on the race, though it didn't affect final race times. The 1986 marathon study included 82 runners who noted that cramps only occurred in the second half of the race. There isn't much more evidence from actual races and training sessions to draw definitive conclusions about fatigue's role right now. And what about hydration? What role does hydration play? As for hydration, the evidence is mixed. Some studies suggest hydration status showed little to no impact on the occurrence of muscle cramps, while others suggest it may have an influence. One study investigated how dehydration affects muscle cramps in individuals prone to EAMCs by reducing water through sweating in a sauna. Okay, that's interesting. When body water decreased by 1, 2, and 3% of body mass, 3 out of 9 men experienced cramps in the 2% condition and 6 in the 3% condition. The results of this very small study suggest that fluid loss from the body might increase the likelihood of muscle cramps. That makes sense. Yet another study of 88 marathon runners observed no significant differences in hydration levels based on urine measurements between crampers and non-crampers. Again, it's proposed that different situations may involve different mechanisms with no single cause universally applicable. Pounding water can have dangerous consequences. Drinking large amounts of water quickly, also known as pounding water, can have dangerous consequences. It can lead to hyponatremia, which occurs when too much water dilutes the sodium levels in the blood. When sodium levels drop too low, water can enter the cells, causing them to swell, potentially leading to headaches, seizures, and other symptoms. Consuming large amounts of water is also a risk factor for muscle cramps. Sipping is better for hydration. Given our current understanding of cramps, the best way to manage them is through a personalized approach. You have to address cramps by doing some me research. Maintaining a cramping diary can be helpful. If you've had a cramp on your calf before, it is likely that you're going to get another cramp in the calf. Documenting the circumstances, like location, activity, what you ingested, may provide some insights. If you are prone to cramping and want to keep a cramp diary, consider asking yourself the following questions. You're going to put the day and the date. You're going to put what muscle is cramped, what did you eat and drink prior to the cramp, did you get enough sleep the night before, what was the temperature, humidity at the time, did you warm up, are you experimenting with new footwear, are you injured, has your diet changed in the past few days, has your training changed in the past few days, did you consume caffeine before or after exercise, and lastly, are you taking any supplements? If muscle cramps do occur, gentle static stretching has been recommended to alleviate them. My best approach to cramps is to stretch the muscle that is getting cramped. For example, if my biceps are overworked and I feel a cramp, what I would have to do is I would extend it and I would pull all my fingers back so that all the tendons get stretched. If I get a cramp on my quad, for example, if I get a cramp here, the best thing to do is to simply bend my leg backwards and make sure that I get a good stretch here. Same thing with the calves. If I get a cramp on my calf, the last thing I want to do is engage it. I want to stretch it by pushing my heel down to stretch as much of the calf as possible. Why don't we have clear-cut answers for what causes muscle cramps? It's challenging to recreate real-world scenarios where muscle cramps occur. Researchers can cause muscle cramps via electrical stimulation, but these differ from sporting scenarios where fatigue and environmental factors may be at play. Real-world research that is conducted on muscle cramps tends to make measurements after the cramps have occurred. For example, at the end of a race, So measurements don't necessarily reflect what was happening when the cramp occurred. These are just two of the limitations that have hindered a better understanding of EAMCs, or exercise-associated muscle cramps. If you would like to see this article for yourself, there is a link in the description of the video below. If you found this content useful, entertaining, or if it added value to your life in any way, shape, or form, I would highly appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, drop a comment, or share this video in your social media. My name is Efren Rodriguez Guerrero, and I have been a fitness professional for more than 10 years. Pushing the limits of human performance has always been one of my greatest passions. In addition to teach others the immense power of transformation in exercise. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. I love you.